Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Jayadvaita Swami Gaur Bhakta Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Jayadvaita Swami Gaur Bhakta Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama. Hare Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Rama, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama,
Jai Om Vishnupad Purnamhamsa Pariprajaka Stotra Sri Srimad A.C. Bhakti Vedanta Swami Maharaj Prabhupada Ki Jai, Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai, Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai, Prem se kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya, Prabhu Nityananda, Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi, Gaur Bhakta Ki Jai, Sri Sri Radha Krishna Gop Gopinath, Sham Kund Radha Kund Ki Gopitan Ki Jai, Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai, Navadip Dham Ki Jai, Jagannath Puri Ki Jai, Ganga Mai Ki Jai, Jamana Mai Ki Jai, Tulsi Devi Ki Jai, Bhakti Devi Ki Jai, Samaveta Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bol.
Hari Hari Bol. Thank you, Maharaj. And thank you, everyone, for joining us for Srimad Bhagavatam class with His Holiness Jayadvaita Swami. It is Monday, June 19th, 2023, and we are reading in Srimad Bhagavatam, 3rd Canto, Chapter 20. Tonight we're starting with verse number 26. And looking forward to hearing your comments and questions, and please share these links with your friends. And we're so happy you could join us tonight, Maharaj. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much, Akendra Prabhu. Nice to hear your kirtan. Thank you to all. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Ahimam Paramatmam Ste Preshanen Asrajam Prajaha Ta Ima Yabitum Papa Upakramanti Mam Prabho. Lord Brahma, approaching the Lord, addressed him thus: My Lord, please protect me from these sinful demons who were created by me under your order. They are infuriated by an appetite for sex and have come to attack me. Purport: It appears here that the homosexual appetite of males for each other is created in this episode of the creation of the demons by Brahma. In other words, the homosexual appetite of a man for another man is demoniac and is not for any sane male in the ordinary course of life. Om Agana Timirantasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurn Militam Jena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manopistam Sthapitam Jena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Tadhaki Shapadantikam Vandehang Shri Guru Shri Jatapadakamalang Shri Gurun Vaishnavanscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raganatan Vitam Stam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savatutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Sri Vishakhanvitanscha He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dina Bandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kamshana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Rishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hori Priye Vansha Kolpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindho Bhyevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda, Shri Advaita Gadadhar, Shri Vasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. As you will recall, in the process of creation, the various demons have been created from Lord Brahma's buttocks. And then they went after him with an appetite for sex. Srila Prabhupada is unambiguous here. One doesn't have to wonder where he stands in regard to what's now called the gay life. For him, he makes clear that it's demoniac, that it's not for any sane person, that it's demonic. The divine nature is, first of all, one of obedience to the principles found in Shastra. Dharma viruddha bhuteshu kamosmi. Sex is accepted when it's according to religious principles. Religious principles as explained by Srila Sridhar Swami, Srila Baladev Vijayabhushan, Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, means sex between man and wife for the purpose of begetting children. Sex otherwise is considered dharma viruddha, contrary to religious principles. So, of course, our stand is that we're not only against homosexuality, we're generally against sexuality. Sex is more of an impediment than an advantage. The pumsastriya maitini bhavameta yad indriya priti or apranoti nasadu manye. The Prahlad Maharaj says, this is the basic principle of material entanglement, the attraction between male and female. And therefore, it's to be restricted. It's to be restricted. In brahmachari life, no sex. Vanaprastha life, no sex. Sannyas, no sex. And grihastha life, sex according to regulations. With
No more than once a month when the woman is fertile and chanting 50 rounds.
Yes, Rabindra Prabhu says not more than once a month when the woman is fertile and after chanting 50 rounds. Yeah, that is Prabhupada's.
Garbhadhana samskaras. Garbhadhana samskara.
Yeah, the Garbhadhana samskara. Actually, Srila Prabhupada wrote in a letter to our godbrother Madhusudan Prabhu that for us there's no Garbhadhana samskara because it's Vedic and we're lechas. So we can't even touch the Garbhadhana samskara. But this, for us, 50 rounds, that was Prabhupada's principle. So yes, or Prabhupada put it elsewhere, he said, sex is not for enjoyment. It's for service. Enjoyment may be there, just like our eating. It's not for enjoyment, it's for service. And there'll be some enjoyment also. But that also is to be restricted, not overeating, not indiscriminate eating, not eating anything and everything, but within the regulations. So with homosexuality, it's not even close to the regulations. It's not even close. Prabhupada sees it simply as lust expressing itself in a, well, to use an old-fashioned word, perverted form. Lust expressing itself in a perverted form. So he gives no credit to the homosexual community or the homosexual life. For him, it's not for a sane person. Now we may have a tendency to want to be accommodating, to want to be understanding, to want to offer a place for homosexual life within Krishna consciousness. Monogamous gay marriage is better than unrestricted gay marriage. But for Prabhupada, this is all rubbish. It's all not even for a sane person. And we've heard elsewhere where he's noticed an article about some priests that were in some homosexual relationship. Probably something not to be uttered. And then he utters it, he says homosex. But something not to be uttered. That was his view. So we may want to go with the spirit of the times, adjust, accommodate, be, what's the word, generous and welcoming to everyone. And of course we do welcome everyone. You may be a meat eater, you may be a gambler, you may be a intoxicated person, or you may be having illicit sex. Still, we welcome everyone to chant Hare Krishna, to take our books, and to try to understand the science of devotional service. But we don't change our understanding that intoxication, meat eating, illicit sex, and gambling are the four pillars of sinful life. And where is the question of spiritual advancement if we're attached to such sinful activities? Something, all right, chanting Hare Krishna, something will be there, something, but not, it will be held back. Robert gave the example, you put a pot of on the stove to cook, it will cook. You put it 2 feet above the stove, and still it'll get some heat, but it won't be quite the same. So these four sinful activities are to be avoided. Yesham tvantagatam papam jananam punyakarmanam te dvandvamoha nirmukta bhajante mam dridhavrita. Who can be freed from the duality of the illusions of material duality and engage with determination in the service of Krishna? Those who are who've come to the end of sinful life, antagatam papam, and who are engaged in pious activities, te dvandvamoha nirmukta, they can be freed from duality and illusion, or the illusion of duality, and be engaged seriously in the service of Krishna. And Anantashesh says the difference was Prabhupada was dealing with souls, and hence was able to accommodate anyone who wanted to pursue Krishna consciousness. Yeah, everyone is diseased, more diseased, less diseased, but everyone in the material world is understood to be diseased. So we don't get commendation for turning away all the diseased persons. We're also diseased. If we turn away everyone who's diseased, there'll be no one left. So we want to give everyone the opportunity, but if one wants to take seriously to the process, then we can't offer that, yes, you can smoke and be Krishna conscious, you can take LSD and be Krishna conscious, you can have homosexual relationships and be Krishna conscious. No, it will be very difficult. These are incompatible activities. We don't have to what's the word? Retool Krishna consciousness so that it's got lots of space for sinful activities. Yes, you can be as sinful as you like and still be as good as everyone else on the path of spiritual progress. No, it's not going to work. And our program is not to pretend that it will work for the sake of public, what's the word, winning public favor or being in tune with the times. I mentioned, I think the other day, that America seems to be lining up, or much of America, so that my latest flight on Delta Airlines had Delta proudly telling us that they've been practically all along, or for a long time, a great supporter of gay pride. What are you talking about? You're fools. And you're a mainstream company. So these things are going on, even in schools now, where people are already confused. Young people are ignorant. You don't go to school because you're enlightened. You go to school because you're ignorant. And so they take the ignorant teachers, take the ignorant students and teach them that really there's no difference. There's just different people some people do it this way, some people do it that way. Some people have a mommy and a daddy. Some people have two daddies or two mommies and all of that. And it's all just fine. It's all just great. I even saw, well, I won't even say what I saw in a Krishna conscious school. But it wasn't in line with our understanding. These things we should be clear where we stand. What's the use of being namby-pamby, being ambiguous and all of that? We don't have to shove it down someone's throat. Oh, you're gay? Well, but if you want to know, here's the truth. And we can't pretend that something else is the truth. Yes, Tulsi Priya.
Hi, Krishna Maharaj, please accept my obeisances. I was thinking about how people, when they get together in couples, it isn't only because of lust, or at least that's not what they think is their only interest. People want to make a life together, and they have attractions to people, not only sexually, but in other ways also. And so, well, I guess my question is, if somebody who is oriented towards homosexuality, that they're attracted to their own sex, not just sexually, but in terms of making a life, can we preach to people that, yes, you can live a life with someone, but you cannot have illicit sex?
There are two things. There's homosexuality and there's friendship.
Mm-hmm.
Where we have no problem with friendship. In fact, we're more in favor of men being friends with men than men being friends with women.
There's the loophole.
There's your loophole. Really, friendship is fine, and it's sort of been almost denigrated in modern Western culture. You know, if you're attracted to someone, well, either you're gay or you're not. Let's get it together. But just to be a close friend, an intimate friend, that's like, where does that go? Let's just get to the bottom of it, cut to the bottom line. Are you gay or not? And if you're gay, let's get on with it. Otherwise, what are we doing here? But we find that in the Vedic culture, there are deep friendships between men, between women. In India, it's very common to see men holding hands, walking down the road together. And it doesn't mean what it means in the West. It just means they're friends. Just means they're friends. And there's so many histories of deep friendship in the West and in India, everywhere. But now friendship takes a hit as soon as there's friendship. Well, how far should we go and all of that? Why? So we're not at all against friendship. We're in favor of friendship. We're totally in favor of friendship. But friendship doesn't involve sex. As soon as you introduce sex into it, now it's not friendship anymore. It's something beyond friendship. And that we're against. That we're against. So even homosexual people, if they can say, okay, it's not going to go further than friendship, all right, we don't have a problem with that. Be friends. Be friends. But as soon as you want to drag sex into it, then it's a different thing. Then it's a different thing.
Maharaj, if I could ask a follow-up question. I was thinking there's a problem, I think, because in ISKCON, there's been a sort of leniency towards heterosexuals who aren't following strictly. So when you have that situation, you have heterosexual devotees who are not following strictly, and then you tell homosexuals who want to practice Krishna consciousness, you can't have illicit sex, but they know that all these heterosexual devotees are having illicit sex. It's a hypocrisy.
Yeah. Well, first thing is we should be unambiguous about what the regulative principles are. And Prabhupada's very clear about that, that illicit sex means that sex without the purpose of procreation is illicit sex. Should I pull out some of my proof texts about that? Let's see. Give me a moment. Wife is accepted only for getting son, not for sexual intercourse. Putrarte kriyate bharya. So when you have sex life simply for generating good son, that is Krishna. And if you want to enjoy your senses, that is pop, sin. March 31st, 1974, morning walk. We have stronger ones. Even in your married life, if you indulge in sex life more than once in a month or in pregnancy, that is against religious principle. And so if you have sex life more than this, that is against religious principles. And if you become against religious principles, then you become sinful. And if you become sinful, then you cannot make progress toward God realization. September 24th, 1971. And there's more, but the Prabhupada is quite straightforward about this. I think he's clear about it, that sex life means sex for begetting children. That's Krishna conscious sex life or religious sex life, and anything else is irreligion. So we might as well be straight out about that too, and not try and pussyfoot or paper over what the standards were. And we see that from the very earliest days, 1966, 67, Prabhupada was laying it on the line. In Prabhupada Lamrita, the story is told how one, I think it was our lawyer, asked about it. And Prabhupada was, let's see, I think I've got that in this document also. Let's see. Mr. Goldsmith, yes. Sex should only be with one's wife, and that also is restricted, Prabhupada said. Sex is for the propagation of Krishna-conscious children. My spiritual master used to say that to beget Krishna-conscious children, he was prepared to have sex 100 times. Of course, that is most difficult in this age.
100 times.
Therefore, he remained a brahmachari. But sex is a very strong force, Mr. Goldsmith challenged. What a man feels for a woman is undeniable. Therefore, in every culture, there's the institution of marriage. Prabhupada replied, you can get yourself married and live peacefully with one woman, but the wife should not be used as a machine for sense gratification. Sex should be restricted to once a month and only for the propagation of children. Hayagriva, who was seated just to Swamiji's left beside the large dangling symbol, spoke out suddenly, only once a month? And with a touch of facetious humor, he added loudly, better to forget the whole thing. Yes, that's it. Very good boy. Swamiji laughed and others joined him. It is best not to think of it, best just to chant Hare Krishna. And he held up his hands as if he were chanting on a strand of beads. That way we will be saved from so much botheration. Sex is like the itching sensation, that's all. And as when we scratch, it gets worse. So we should tolerate the itching and ask Krishna to help us. It is not easy. Sex is the highest pleasure in the material world. And it is also the greatest bondage. But Steve Goldsmith was shaking his head. Prabhupada looked at him, smiling. There's still a problem? It's just that, well, it's been proved dangerous to repress the sex drive. There's the theory that we have wars because people are eating meat, Prabhupada interrupted. As long as people eat meat, there will be war. And if a man eats meat, he will be sure to have illicit sex also. Steve Goldsmith was an influential friend and supporter of ISKCON, but Prabhupada would not change the philosophy of Krishna consciousness to please the Americans. So that's it. The first thing is, you're entirely right. We're against illicit sex in married life also. And Prabhupada was unambiguous about this. Others may be ambiguous. Prabhupada wasn't. He was very clear, and I've got, more in my quote quiver on this subject, but he was very clear about this. So yes, we're against both things. But the thing is, your married couples, even if they're not strictly following, at least they can say, well, we've got this arrangement and we're trying to come closer to the standard. We're trying to strictly follow the standard. They may not perfectly follow, but the idea is there, the standard is there. And if they continue together, and they can follow, and then they're in the right line. But with homosexual marriage, you're not even close. You're not even in the ballpark. You're not even on the road. You're somewhere off in the fields somewhere, not on the road itself. So, and there's no way to get on the road together in a sexual relationship. There's just no way to pull it there. It's like, some things, okay, I overeat, that's against the regulative principles, or whatever it is, that's not quite to the standard. Sometimes I don't eat prasadam. Okay, I can bring that closer, but I only eat chicken once a month or something like that. It's really hard to go on with meat eating and somehow make it Krishna conscious meat eating, sanctified meat eating. Well, I had a pujari bless the chicken or something. And these days we might find pujaris willing to do it, but you can't. It's not dovetailable, as they say. It's not that it can be made something other than sinful. It's sinful. It can't be accommodated in the realm of pious activities or even non-sinful activities. So if you want to, so you sort of touched upon a good point earlier. If you want to be in line, then make it friendship. And make it genuine friendship, not hide and seek friendship and no, friendship. Friendship is not demonic at all. Krishna and Balaram are brothers, they're friends. Krishna and the cowherd boys are friends. They're the greatest standard of intimacy between males is there in the spiritual world. Krishna and his friends. But there's no sex. There's no sex. Not even a thought of sex. They're friends. So friendship should be celebrated, not gay pride and gay history and gay this and gay that, celebrating Gay Pride Month. No, we don't celebrate. We celebrate Krishna and Krishna's friends, that kind of friendship, pure friendship. Not friendship based on lust, friendship based on desire to satisfy one's senses somehow or other, which results, of course, in misery. Happiness in the mode of passion, rajasastu palam dukam, results in misery. As many gay couples have discovered. Of course, as many heterosexual couples have discovered also, passion means suffering. But if we at least follow religious principles, the suffering will be less. Okay. Let's see, there's stuff in the chat box and then we'll come up. Kendra says, lust itself is a perverted form of love of Godhead, but it can be spiritualized. Would it be proper to say that some forms of lust simply cannot be spiritualized? Yes, that's essentially what I'm saying. You can't, love of meat eating can't be spiritualized. But somehow or other we make this transcendental. It has to be antakatam. We have to put an end to it. We have to stop it. So it is, yes, we can definitely say that. Gurudas, this is Prabhupada's and any ISKCON devotee's position. So this is Prabhupada's and any ISKCON devotee's position on LGBTQ. Well, I can't speak for any ISKCON devotees because they may have interesting positions, but this, as far as I can see, and the evidence seems, again, unambiguous. That is to say, perfectly clear, this was Prabhupada's position. Some persons in the material world have such a strong identification with their sexuality, and it's greatly unfortunate that this and the resentment it produces against devotees keeps them from making progress in their Krishna consciousness, Krishna conscious understanding. Yeah, these days it's like, people talk about my sexuality, as if it's like the intrinsic and most important part of my identity. No, it's Maya. It's just it's the problematic external covering of my real identity, not that it's my essential who I am. One college professor, by the way, commented that Playboy magazine was the whole man reduced to his private parts.
What?
The whole man reduced to his private parts. They reduce their personhood to that, to their sexual identity, my sexuality, and this is their identity. I'm all those letters, LGTBQ, queer. Yeah. That's the generic, all of the above. There was some book that was published quite a number of years ago. I happened to be on a Christian book review mailing list that went into the church's position on these things. And the author did what was reviewed as being a sober study. And he began the role of these things in the church and homosexuality and so on. He began by essentially saying, well, what is it that these people do? And then proceeded to lay it out quite explicitly. And when it's laid out quite that explicitly, it becomes a little less what should we say? Adorable, a little less admirable or easy to accommodate. Argument, Praveen says, Krishna has made arrangements for the heterosexuals, but not for the homosexuals, correct? Krishna has not made an arrangement for it. You want to make an arrangement. He hasn't made an arrangement for so many things in Kali Yuga. You've made that arrangement. He's not the one who arranged water pollution, air pollution, pedophilia, and what all. That's your contribution. So, of course, Krishna allows it because this is the world where essentially pandemonium is the norm. But this is not, because it's allowable, or it's Krishna allows it to exist, therefore it must be good. He allows torture to exist, therefore torture must be something that we put a stamp of approval on. No, these things are demonic. You can make a similar argument. Well, the animals do it, and we see that argument, right? That, well, homosexuality is found even among the animals. True, but eating stool is found among the animals too. Does that mean that that's sane human behavior? Okay. I suppose I'm leaving myself open to little 10-second Facebook. What would you say? Whatever they're called, excerpts, memes or what have you. Tough. Anyway, it's my duty to say the thing as it is. So I'm performing my duty. Gurudas quotes from Prabhupada Lilamrita again at Balboa Park. I would happen to be there where Prabhupada interrupted his lecture, or man interrupted Prabhupada's lecture by saying that we want more sex. And he wants more sex more than once a month. He must have known something of what Prabhupada was teaching. And Prabhupada turned to the course of his lecture and addressed the question straight on, and didn't compromise, didn't give an inch. But at the end, he says, the Prabhupada quoted Prahlad Maharaj's statement that all material enjoyment begins from sexual enjoyment, which in comparison to transcendental pleasure is paltry and abominable. But real happiness, Prabhupada asserted, is above the senses. Whatever we enjoy with the gross senses is temporary, but permanent enjoyment is transcendental. Tulsi Priya said, I've read that Prabhupada told one homosexual devotee to just settle down with one boy. Have you heard of this concession? Or was he advising the devotee to live in a friendship? I haven't seen that. Prabhupada said that. There was one trans person in San Francisco who wrote to Prabhupada, and the Prabhupada basically told him, decide what you are. Just be one. Don't try to be both. Pick one identity and follow it. Prabhupada
Just
told
pick
him
one
that.
and stick to it.
Yeah. And there was another one that reminded me of another letter from Prabhupada. Let's see if we find this. It's quite pointed also. Let's see. No, I don't see it, but Prabhupada was, anyway. Panchatattva says,
It was a biography, Guru Maharaj, not an autobiography.
In which his friendships with fellow male lawyers and others included the warmest, kindest exchange of letters, which now might be interpreted by persons with a bias in favor of homosexuality as amorous, but which were simply honest expressions of friendship and nothing more. What is that? We find, in literature, in life, we find dear friendships, and they're not homosexual, they're friendships. There are groups, Sankarshan says, groups of devotees or temples encouraging involvement of people with non-standard orientations under the presentation of Samadarshana. Well, I guess those devotees and temples are more elevated than I am. I don't have Samadarshana. And it doesn't look from these quotations like Prabhupada had it either in this regard. All right, we encourage people, we encourage everyone. Samadarshana, we said before, everyone's diseased and everyone is spirit soul. So we do encourage everyone. Chant Hare Krishna. Prabhupada didn't turn people away from 26 Second Avenue. Oh, you've been taking, your pupils are big, you're taking LSD, you can't join the kirtan. Everyone can join. Straight, gay, trans, have whatever you are. Samadarshana. Everyone is spirit soul. Everyone is welcome to join. Absolutely. But that doesn't mean that the behavior is that we're Samadarshana toward behavior. If we're going to go by Samadarshana, what's the problem with pedophilia? What is the problem there? It's just, especially if you can get consent, it's just another, what should we say, orientation, preference, or drive not to be repressed. And shall we go on from there to bestiality? That's probably more defensible because there's, you don't have the problem of messing up someone's life or what have you. if that becomes the next candidate for normative behavior, remember that you heard it here. Samadarshana, but what's the problem? What's the difference between that and householder life in Krishna consciousness? Praveen says, what if homosexual wants to stay in the temple and serve? Yes, we welcome everyone, but we see that it's often difficult. Those people with a taste for homosexuality have a hard time in a men's ashram, for example, but it's possible. One of the problems, Panchatattva says, in Kali Yuga is that there's so much loneliness for so many reasons, and that other conditions to a culture, and other conditions to a culture where more and more anything goes. And it's not surprising that people turn to homosexuality. Yeah, it's, first of all, young people in particular are confused by all of the sex drive, and it's a powerful thing, and what do we do with it? And then you have, then you're living in Berkeley, where the leaders on the university campus are publishing pamphlets telling you, telling freshmen where to go to try it out and see if it's for you. So it's not surprising that people get confused and take to these things by association. By association of saints, one becomes saintly. By association of demons, one becomes demonic. Nantashesh says, thank you, Maharaj, for your explanation based on Prabhupada's no-nonsense approach. As Kali Yuga progresses fast, it is very important we stick to Prabhupada's frame of reference instead of giving in to flimsy modern arguments to enable any type of behavior. I agree, obviously. Before gay marriage, Tulsi Priya says, became legal when it was being hotly debated, a devotee was preaching that there was room in Krishna consciousness for acceptance of gay marriage, citing nigraha kim karishyati, what will repression accomplish? After calling him out on his misuse of that verse, it is very much a misuse, I asked him, if that is the case, then where in Shastra are the duties of partners in homosexual relationship delineated as they are for husbands and wives in marital relationships? He conceded that there weren't. And that nigraha kim karishyati verse, really, could you bring my Bhagavad Gita book, is really super misused. If you look at what follows the verse, it's practically a crescendo of instructions in which Krishna says that one should control lust. That's the context. The nigraha kim karishyati pertains to taking up someone else's duty instead of your own. But this is third chapter, if I'm not wrong. Nigraha kim karishyati. Where is nigraha kim karishyati? Someone help me out. Where is nigraha kim karishyati? I'm sure it's in plain sight.
333.
333, thank you.
333. Almost the mark.
333. Yeah, nigraha kim karishyati. And then Arjuna says, well, what is it that one, and then there's next verse, one shouldn't come under the control of the senses and the sense objects. Next verse, better to do your own duty than someone else's. Next verse, what is it that impels one to act against one's duties? Next verse, it's lust and lust only, which is the sinful, all-devouring enemy of this world, which covers one the way dust covers a mirror, or the way an embryo is covered by the womb, or the way fire is covered by smoke, which covers the knowledge of the wise living entity. Ganina, the living entity, is wise by nature, but he's covered. Avritam Gyanam, his knowledge is covered by lust, which is dushpurein analenacha, which is hard to control and which burns like fire, which is sitting in the mind, the intelligence, the senses. Tasmat, therefore, Indriyanyado, from the very beginning, Ado, Niyamya Bharatarshava, one should control lust. Papmanam Prajahihenam, Gyana Vijnana Nashanam, and one should slay this destroyer of knowledge and realization. So that's not quite a case for Nigraha Kim Karishati. So, what will repression accomplish? We should just sort of go with our feelings. That's not, that has pointed out, total misuse of the verse. Panchatattva found the letter I had in mind. Please, my dear such and such, please accept my blessings. To receipt of your letter of May 1975, noted the contents. I'm very sorry that you've taken to homosex. It will not help you advance in your attempt for spiritual life. In fact, it will only hamper your advancement. I do not know why you have taken to such abominable activities. What can I say? Anyway, try to render whatever service you can to Krishna. Even though you are in a very degraded condition, Krishna, being pleased with your service attitude, can pick you up from your fallen state. You should stop this homosex immediately. It is illicit sex. Otherwise, your chances of advancing in spiritual life are nil. Show Krishna you are serious, if you are. I hope this meets you in good health. Hard to be less blunt. Hard to be rather more blunt than that. It doesn't leave room for debating what Prabhupada really thought, what Prabhupada instructed, what Prabhupada's preaching strategy was in dealing with people who preferred homosexual or a gay life.
I think that people need the framework of the three modes of nature, and that the result of the mode of goodness is knowledge, and the result of the mode of passion is misery. So that covers almost everybody.
Yeah.
So when people are trying to come to or cultivate the mode of goodness, that the result is knowledge.
Yeah.
And you can actually approach God that way. But unfortunately, and the mode of passion is the result is misery, and therefore you go to the mode of ignorance to forget about the misery.
Can this all be heard? Are you hearing? Good, very good. Yeah. Oh, word for transcendence, not for Rajagun and Tamagun.
Yeah.
And if one takes to it seriously, Krishna consciousness, then Tada Rajas Tamo Bhava Kamalo Bharyas Chete Tarana. So, yes. Yeah, and Gurudas basically mentions that the Christian church is facing these issues and that it's a major political topic, especially in American politics and elsewhere. So I'm sure that there will be those who have other thoughts on the matter, but I've tried to represent what Prabhupada said. As he told Giriraj Maharaj, my Guru Maharaj never compromised. I never compromised, nor should any of my students ever compromise. So that's my understanding. And of course, we're always open for other thoughts about anything. But there you are. And we've reached our time. Thank you all very much. Yeah, there's so much more that can be said about this, but
I would like it when Prabhupada was asked by a reporter, why have you come to the West? He said, I've come to give you a brain.
yeah. Yes.
That's
Yeah.
I love it.
All right, Kirtan. Who is our Kirtaniya of the evening?
Has someone volunteered?
Nope, just you, Prabhu.
I can't get my video working, but that's probably a blessing for everyone. Be even more of a blessing if my microphone didn't work, but here goes. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
I'm at the zoo.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Jai Om Mishnibad Purnamansa Pariprajaka Charja Ashtotar Satsashri Srimad A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj Prabhupada Ki Jai, Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai, Nam Acharya Sridhar Haridas Thakur Ki Jai, Prem Se Kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shiva Shadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai, Sri Sri Radha Krishna Gop Gopinath Sham Kun Radha Kunda Giri Govardhan Ki Jai, Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai, Navadip Dham Ki Jai, Jagannath Puri Ki Jai, Gangamai Ki Jai, Jamunamai Ki Jai, Tulsi Devi Ki Jai, Bhakti Devi Ki Jai, Samaveta Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. Gaur Premanande. I should also mention that our Praveen Prabhu is now initiated as Praveen Krishna Das. So
Hi, Haribol.
Oh,
Haribo. Hare Krishna.
so everyone can give their blessings. Thank you very much.
Who is he initiated by?
Someone.
Okay.
three guesses.
One guess.
Maharaj.
Yes.
No.
I noticed the change in spelling in his name and I was going to ask him.
Yes.
Thank you, Maharaj.
Thank
Praveen Krishna Prabhu Ki Jai.
Hi. Fortunate soul, fortunate soul.
Fortunate soul, yes.
Expanding our spiritual family.
Thank you, Guru Maharaj.
Thank you, Maharaj.
Thank you, Maharaj. Haribol.
Thank you, Maharaj.
Thank you, Guru Maharaj.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna. Thank you everyone for being here. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai.
Hi.
Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai.
Hi.
Jayadvaita Maharaj Ki Jai.
Hi.
Okay.
Samaveta Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai.
Hi.
Gaur Premanande.
Haribol.